funny because there really wasn't. I think that when I first approached John about doing this, about potentially coaching, I didn't have many preconceived notions. I had only read a little bit about what coaches were. I don't even think I gave that service much of a thought, and didn't think it was something that I would want to do until John told me that was something he was going to go into, which then made me look into, well, what does that mean? So then when I sort of got a little more educated on that, it seemed like a great fit with what I happened to be going through at the time. And I happened to have a really great therapist who just works with me on a much different level, but I have a wonderful, working relationship with. And I trust her, and she's great. You can work through all kinds of things, but it's a different thing than when you work with a coach who, the way I had put it in my mind was, I worked with more of the inside stuff with my therapist and more the outside stuff with my coach. I would say if that was a preconceived notion, that was it. Of course, as you go through, you realize that it's all inside stuff, and it's all stuff that manifests to the outside. It's just working on kind of different aspects of your life. I think that going in, my preconceived notion was John was going to get me where I want to go in some of these more external things like my job and the things I want to do. And in that regard, that was right. That's what's happened, that I think we're taking steps forward, and I see a lot of movement in that. But then you do see shifts elsewhere too, not just external things. Trying to think back to my first session. I believe that the first session or two were mostly about kind of setting the context of where you are. I would probably describe it for me as laying a foundation. You have to, there are a lot of things that you want to sort of impart. You want the person to get to know a little bit about a lot of the things going on, so that you can, before you can really focus on what might bring the most value. So I do feel like there's a lot of talking through just a lot of things that are going on. But, in the end, and it definitely takes a time or two to do that. But in the end, it just kind of lays a foundation, a place to jump off from, so that you can start focusing on some of that, find the things that you want to focus on that will bring really the most value. When I first started talking with John, I was at a place where I just made sort of another job type change. I had only been on the job maybe a year and a half or so, and I knew I was moving toward the right direction for something, but it still wasn't quite it. And so the way I was feeling, and we use this term throughout our sessions, was that it was starting to feel like Groundhog Day again, was that I felt like for a number of years I sort of went one thing to another, and I'd done a lot of consulting, so, a lot of this was even taking consulting clients or consulting gigs, knowing that I was working towards something, and yet it ended up feeling the same, and it didn't feel like I was always moving forward, or if I was moving forward, it was just glacially slow. And what I wanted to do was just, I didn't have a real clear vision. I had a vague vision of what I wanted to do, but, professionally, in a creative realm where I wanted to do the creative work more professionally. And I had vague ideas around that, but not a clear vision. And I'm a person who feels like if I have a very clear vision, I can make it happen. And what I needed help with was really visioning what that was on a practical level, so I could take some real action towards it. And that is a lot more difficult than it might sound. So that's what we worked on. And one of the main changes is definitely a perspective about how I show up for some of these things. And let me back up actually. So since I've been working with John, I finally have come to a place where I have a clear vision of what's ahead and the steps we'll take to get there, which is amazing to me, and wonderful. It's it's a combination of working my way into, finding a great consulting professional fit that helps with that, but also a way to work in the professional manner that I want to show up for the creative work that I do, and being able to work on those two things in tandem as well as combining them. I would say that the difference is a moving forward, where before I felt stuck, or having a vision that it's something that I can see out towards the future and I can work towards that, but it's never losing sight of where I am right here, and also being able to enjoy where I am right here. I enjoy learning as I go, and every experience I try to learn something from it, and that takes being present in what you're doing and being aware of what you're doing. So I'm always cognizant of that. I try not to spend a lot of time looking back at what I could have done or could have done this earlier or that kind of thing. And in fact, just be really happy that I'm in a place and moving forward to the place I want to keep moving forward to. I don't even want to say where I want to end up, because I don't even think that's true. I think it's all a process, and it's all movement. And right now, I like the movement that I have right now and where I'm going to. And even both professionally and creatively, I'm even more productive, because I think that block and that worry of, is this where I should be? Should I be looking at other things? Without that worry over your shoulders, that block is gone, and you can even just be much more prolific and productive, and the work is better because it's coming from a deeper place, because you don't have all those questions in your head, sort of getting in the way. I would say that what you can expect out of a session with John is that the more you come in with on a deeper level, the more you'll get out of it, for one thing. But even so, even if you're, I'm going to take that back because even if you're struggling a little bit, what I have found is that I'll talk through something that might be happening that I might be struggling with, or a particular thing that I might need some help with, or a goal that I'm trying to reach that right now just being fuzzy and I don't even know what to do about it. And what I'll hear from him is he's finding things in what I say and able to just give them a different perspective. And for John, things are a lot about perspective. And I think the reason that he talks about that a lot is because he's very good at that. It's really true. It's looking at things from a completely different angle. I would end up finding myself coming up with an answer on my own and just realizing, if you look at it that way, then it's really pretty clear. The main thing that I can expect from a session with John is being able to look at things differently, and that's a major help. I have talked with either by trying them or just knowing them professionally, or a few coaches, some therapists, and there is a rare breed of people who are actually able to see the full picture and not just some small bit that you might be talking about at the moment, because sometimes the small bit you're talking about is the core of the matter, and sometimes it's a symptom of a matter or a side product, or it's just part of it. And so what's really important is to talk with someone who is capable of having a holistic view of what's going on in your situation in your life. You're going to get the most value out of that, and John has the ability to do that. You have to tell him, you have to be able to trust, be willing to branch out a little bit. But then when you do, you find that there are things that interconnect that you may not have realized, were affecting you. Working with John is enjoyable, and it's fun, and that's an important thing, because sometimes a person might feel like something that's valuable, they may not realize just how important enjoying the process is.